All right. Hello. Um, this is my video on ISTPs, finishing out the TI dominant um, videos and finishing out the thinking dominant types period. This is the last group, ISTPs I'm talking about. My video that I just did deleted, so that was a waste. It was really good too. Oh well, I'm back at it. So as I was saying, uh, ISTPs, they lead with introverted thinking. Extroverted sensing is a second function. So essentially, that introverted thinking is a logic based function. It's a function that's predicated on following steps that make sense and noticing steps and patterns that make sense in the immediate environment. Okay. If we look up the word logic, which I always utilize referring to introverted thinking, logic means reasoning conducted or assessed according to strict principles of validity. So, in my opinion, it also means a set system or set of principles underlying the arrangements of elements in a computer or device, whatever. So if you apply that to the ISTP and to introverted thinking, is to utilize reasoning that's conducted and assessed um, uh, according to strict principles of validity, and that validity is based on what they've seen. It's based on the senses, because extroverted sensing is their second function. So the way that plays out is they're very much so noticing patterns, systems, and sets of principles that are happening in the environment or that are happening in um, the tools and different elements in the environment and creations in the environment. They take these things and notice these things and begin to formulate structures in life and principles that they use that are logical, that work, that are effective. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, the ISTP are going to be, they're very present focused. They're the types that are, when it comes to communication, you have to remember they have introverted thinking first. So, they're not really worried about sharing all their thoughts with you. Um, they have, as I said, introverted thinking, then they have extroverted sensing, and then they have introverted intuition, right? So their FE is low, their NE is low, meaning the extroverted intuition is low, the extroverted thinking is low. So they don't care to throw all their ideas and everything at you because they already have a formidable idea of how they see things and want to do things in their mind. So the way that they really express themselves and really communicate is a lot of the time is through that extroverted sensing. So that means, you know, hanging out, doing athletics, challenging themselves, building something, creating something. A lot of ISTPs are artistic as well. So they have that one side that's very mathematic, very structured, very organized. But then they have that other creative side because they do have that introverted intuition as a third function. And with that introverted thinking and introverted intuition, it pairs together to create some amazing things artistically and structurally. That's logically built and that's very practical in its use and functionality, but that is still brilliant and unique because it has that little bit of that intuitive spark in it that makes it different. That's what ISTPs are very capable of providing, and a lot of the time they do this, as I said, through expression. So if they're athletes, a lot of the time they'll be very skilled, able to make these amazing moves and decisions in real time. Things like that are great ways in which they express themselves. So, ISTPs have a lot of insight, a lot of information, very intelligent, but it's really more geared for them and their vision and goals. They have an air of maturity. A lot of the time, they carry themselves with a lot of maturity because they really are the types that can move solo. They don't need to be in a big group. They don't need to be really accepted necessarily. A lot of the time they naturally are because they do have a presence to them. That extroverted sensing is felt. But when it comes to the things that they're trying to do, they're not trying to convince a crowd to follow their lead. They're very much so able to move freely, and they do like to move freely because they are perceivers, and they do have that perceiving energy or vibe where they do like to float and move freely without constraint. They don't like to be constrained, but at the same time, um, they do have the capacity and the ability to fit within a structure as long as it's something that matches what they're trying to do. And that could be for a job, work, relationship, anything like that is possible as long as it fits what they're trying to do. Because one thing about ISTPs, they do have the ability to make their own path, and what I've noticed with ISTPs is that they want to make their own path. They don't want to deal with the nuances of dealing with everybody. Like I said, that extroverted feeling is a fourth function. FI is extremely low. They're not trying to deal with a lot of feely ideas. Like, no, they're trying to more so experience life within its fullest and understand the things that allow them to experience life at its fullest. ISTPs definitely have a capacity to, and the desire to want to experience life at its best and to enjoy life at its best. You know what I mean? And they have that drive. They have the underlying drive. And that drive kind of sits behind this seriousness and this relaxedness and this reservation. But inside of the reserved ISTP is something that wants to explode out. And what that is that creativity, that energy, and that ability to use that extroverted sensing. They quietly want to use that extroverted feeling. They want to connect. They want to express. They want to go out there and have fun and pave their own way and create and build and grow. So they have that drive, but it's just a very subtle and quiet way of expressing that. And so, those are some of the things about ISTPs that are big. One big thing that's huge for ISTPs to grow and develop is going to be in their ability to play with that FE and begin to value communication and group dynamics, because a lot of the time ISTPs can totally miss it because they don't care about it that much. It's not something that they really value too much because they know that logically they can do what they got to do and they'll be fine. But by learning these nuances, it will allow them to have more impact because ISTPs, a lot of them will naturally be leaders, and it's important that they're able to work within groups and help lead and contribute to groups, because those groups will benefit greatly and the ISTP will benefit greatly because people need that insight from ISTPs, and ISTPs have great insights when they decide to express themselves. So definitely shout out all ISTPs. I also suggest any creative arts or anything for them, because for all ISTPs I've met, they are very intelligent. They can do work. If they're driven or focused on something, it's going to come to life. They don't quit, man. But the key thing is that they need that outlet where they can express themselves, because otherwise, if they don't, they can bottle up so much and not deal with their feelings and not deal with these things that they can become cold and just locked in with that introverted thinking. And especially if their extroverted sensory environment isn't the best situation. So just out there for those ICPs who may not be in the best situations, it's important that you don't give up on communication and understanding your environment. You know what I mean? But outside of that, man, ISTPs, as I said, very intelligent, very logical, very practical. They like to grow. They like to push. They have creativity. They're natural builders. Like if you think about someone that takes something apart and puts it back together, like this INTP thing, understanding the nuts and bolts of things, understanding how things work from a full, from a full level. They can really delve into a subject and really go in. Um, so, these are just some of the things I want to say about ISTPs. Hope you learned a lot. And, I'm doing the feeling videos next to all the feeling types. That's my last segment of the MBTI segment videos. And then I'll start giving you guys some personal tips and just delving in more, man, just on the fun stuff I want to do in regard to MBTI. But for now, giving my spiel on the types, and I hope you enjoyed this. Shout out to ISTPs, and shout out the world, man. We'll talk soon.